Nonverbal communication is something that happens wherever we go, whether it be with the cashier at Winco, or your spouse of 35 years, or with a stranger down the street. Nonverbal communication happens. And we tend to mimic things that other people do. We actually have a neuron in our brain called a mirror neuron that helps us do this, and it helps us learn when we're young. So Kendra, Julia, and I were interested in to see how women would mimic other women with nonverbal communication. So we used 3 different smiles that would help us gauge if women would mimic other women in nonverbal communication. This is what we found. The research that inspired our experiment was Corey Floyd's and Larry Erbert's 2003 study, Relational Message Interpretations of Nonverbal Matching Behavior, an application of the social meaning model. The experiment determined to find the likelihood of participants and observers understanding nonverbal messages being sent. What they found was that there was a connection between nonverbal messages and interpretation of those messages by the observer. This study suggests that participants are aware of nonverbal social norms in their society, and they respond to those norms in certain ways. So we're trying to relate this in a way that people pick up on social norms and reciprocate or mimic the social norms that they are observing. In our culture, it's polite to smile as someone walks past you, and it's polite to respond to that person by mimicking what they do. So we decided to use 3 different smiles to see if women would mimic us with our different smiles. These smiles included a resting face when we really had no expression at all, a closed mouth smile, so no teeth showing, and an open mouth smile with teeth showing. So what we did was the 3 of us, who are all different ages but all women, would walk down campus alone on a street or in a hallway or somewhere, and we would give people smiles. So it would either be the resting face, the closed mouth smile, or the showing teeth excited smile. And we would see if other women would reciprocate what we were doing with our nonverbal communication. Here is Julia walking down the MU quad, approaching 2 girls with a closed mouth smile. And although faint, and even though they weren't alone, one of them did react and closed mouth smile back. Here I am walking down Campus Way, approaching a woman, and I was actually looking further past down the sidewalk, and the person decided to cross the street, and I couldn't even get eye contact from them. It frustrated me. Despite age, others would generally reciprocate a smile, whether it was genuine or mimicked. What we found, though, is that we must have eye contact with the individual to reciprocate any smile. And most of the subjects would return a smile if they were alone. But a major flaw that we found is that technology, such as if they were looking at a phone screen, would hinder them mimicking a smile or even making eye contact with us. This started the question, are social norms changing? Because for so long it's been the courtesy that if someone smiles at you, you smile back. That's how our culture runs. But have you ever smiled at someone and they don't smile back? Does it make you feel offended or awkward? Possibly this has something to do with age and a cultural difference that's happening in our society today. What we can conclude is that most women would mimic smiles with unfamiliar females regardless of age, but eye contact was absolutely essential to elicit any smile at all. Social norms were broken by avoidance when utilizing a cell phone or using earbuds, listening to music, and culture and social norms determined a female to smile genuinely, mimic the smile of another, or use avoidance. While many women did mimic our smiles when we made eye contact with them, this experiment really showed us how dependent we are on technology and how it totally influences our nonverbal communications with others. it was actually very frustrating for us when we were walking down the street and we would see another woman that we could potentially smile at, which was a little awkward, but they wouldn't even look at us. They wouldn't make any eye contact. We would try to smile at them. We would try to be in their path, and they would just totally not even see us. It's like technology puts blinders on them. And it was frustrating to get results for this experiment because people were avoiding our nonverbal communications. Even though, we were just walking down the street, we weren't plugged into anything, we didn't have our phones out, we genuinely just wanted to smile at these people, and they were just totally blind to it. So I think it's interesting to note how technology is changing our nonverbal communication in any way, whether it be with that cashier at the grocery store. Don't sit on your phone and have a conversation with someone else or be texting, because those nonverbal communication skills that we get from those small interactions they speak 1,000 words. And even when we do know someone, like if we've been married to someone for 35 years, our nonverbal communication means so much still. And when we were walking down the street with strangers, it felt good to be smiled at when we smiled at someone. And it was finally, like, when we finally got someone to smile at us when they weren't plugged into their phone or anything, it was like, yes, like, someone had a nonverbal communication section with us. And when we didn't get any response from anyone, it was frustrating that technology has had so much influence on our communication, even the small communications that we have throughout the day with strangers.